I'm going to answer those quiz questions over the digestive system and the nutrition. And this is the diagram of the human digestive system I drew to answer one of those questions. So question number 1, describe the two types of elementary canal movements. So those two would be the mixing and propelling movement. So those mixing movement occurs when the smooth muscles of our digestive organs are contracting. So for example, when our stomach is full and it's just mixing our food with those juices, the gastric juices like a peptin, and it just moves very with it's very rhythmic muscular contractions, so they can mix the food with those juices or enzymes, so that helps the digestion. And the other one is the propelling movement. So it occurs when there is the wave-like movement, wave-like ring of contracting movement of those tubes. So that can push the contents the nutritional substances, the food from one part to another, the next step. So that can happen like in those esophagus or small intestine or large intestines. So they can move, those tubes can via those propelling movement, so those hollow organs can move the food to the next organs, those food from one to another. And number 2, what are layers of alimentary canal and what is the function of each layer? So those layers, like there are 4 major layers, like mucosa and submucosa and muscularis and serosa. So those are the 4 major layers. So mucosa is just the innermost layer that has like a glands, so they can secrete the mucus and other digestive enzymes. And submucosa is the next one that has vessels, like blood or lymph vessels, so they can provide the nutrition to surrounding tissues. And then there is the muscularis layer, so they can provide some contraction of muscles. They just so they can cause the actual movement. And the last, the outermost layer is the serosa, and they secrete a little fluids. So basically they can lubricate those organs. So each organs with these fluids, so those organs doesn't have to conflict. They don't have to scratch or something. So basically they can slide better with each other, with other organs, so they don't have any frictions or scratches, so they can more smoothly slide with each other. And question number 3, draw a diagram of the alimentary canal and describe the pathway of food and describe how each organ and structure aids in digestion. So this is the diagram I drew. So this is the mouth. So mouth, it starts from the mouth that receives the food, and in the mouth they can just break the foods into the smaller pieces. Mechanical digestion starts from here. So they are chewing using the tongue and teeth. So those chewing actions called mastication, and that helps. So that is the start of the chemical digestion in the mouth. And there is also actually as an accessory organs, there is a salivary glands which secretes the saliva, or salivary glands that secretes the saliva, and that has a amylase that can help to those digest carbohydrates, some carbs in the mouth. So basically, in the mouth, they have both chemical and mechanical digestions. And then the food goes to the pharynx and esophagus. So the pharynx is just the posterior to the mouth. So the food goes pharynx and esophagus. So it's a kind of just the pathway for the food, and they don't really have the digestive process there, but it's pretty important pathway for foods to go to the stomach eventually. And stomach, they just mix the food with those gastric juice, and so the protein can be digested here. The protein digestion will be started here with the peptins, and then they also do some limited amount of absorption as well. And then they will move to those food will be moved to small intestine, and close to the stomach there is a couple of accessory organs called pancreas, liver, pancreas, and gallbladders. So the liver they secrete bile that can digest the fat, the lipids, and there is also pancreas that secretes some digestive enzymes that breaks down the protein, fats, and carbs, every kind. And there is down the liver, just inferior to the liver, there is a gallbladder. So they stores the bile that is produced from the liver. So that stores bile, and they also absorb some water. So they can concentrate those vials, and then eventually the vials, concentrated vial, will goes to the small intestine to help those digestion. And the small intestine here, the small intestine here is the very long muscular tube that break down and absorb all those food using some enzymes from the pancreas and the bile from liver. So, and they do the most of the absorptions of the food. And there are so many folds. It's really long tube. So there are so many folds because, that can provide the more surface area. So we can just maximize the absorption of the nutrition we have, the food absorption. And then they will go to those substances will go to the large intestine, and they absorb any remaining water, and also just leftover some electrolytes, and then basically they produce the waste. So this is the large intestine is kind of the last stop before excretion. So the feces, those waste, the feces will be formed here, and then those will be stored in the rectum, and then finally they will be expelled via the anus. So there is the pathway of the food. Question number 4, explain what constitutes an adequate diet. So, and what factors can influence this? So, adequate diet, that means they have to provide enough amount of energy and enough amount of nutritional value to keep a person healthy and keep the person alive and healthy. So that must have essential amount of carb and fats and protein, and as well as some essential minerals and vitamins. so they can keep the person lively and healthy. And so adequate diet can be influenced by those foods we take, like proteins and carb and everything. And number 5, compare and contrast digestion and nutrition. So digestion is just how the body turns those food we took into nutrition. So like the food intake can become can be mechanically or chemically broken down, and it turned into carbs and fat and proteins we need and minerals or vitamins. And nutrition is just how our body uses the foods to grow and maintain. So it is just a process of providing food that is needed for our health and our growth and health and our maintenance.